Hello, spiritual seeker. This is Deepa Lou, and I'm the creative mystic. And I always like to start this podcast with ringing that bell because it's like saying hello, God. And also, it's about centering your energy into the divine presence that's within you. It's with you 24/7, every day of the week, but we forget. So today we're going to talk about self-empowerment. And over the last few episodes, I've been talking to you about your three God-given superpowers that are at your fingertips. And they all help you with empowering yourself. But this one specifically today that I'm going to talk about is one of the most important ones in empowerment, in empowering yourself, in self-empowerment, and being able to actually, create a life that has meaning and purpose and that you love, rather than one that's just only okay, because um, your God-given superpowers were given to you so you can actually create a life of meaning and on purpose. And you've come on this planet for a reason. We all have. We all have a significant reason why we came here. That purpose can morph and change, but it's really about how do you step into that purpose of yours, that true heart's desire that I call your holy calling. Because that holy calling is what's going to give you that fulfillment, that joy, and it's something you love. It's not something that you hate to do, that you feel like you have to do. It's something that you feel inspired to do. Maybe you're scared to do, but you love doing it when you're doing it. Now you might wonder, like, if I love it so much, why am I not easily doing it? That's a whole nother podcast episode. But when you start to learn about this next power that I'm going to talk about, you'll start to understand more of how you can start making and embracing new choices, using your words differently, okay? Because we talked about the power of your words and the power of your choice. But today we're going to talk about the power of your intellect. Okay, and you're thinking, how is that a superpower? Probably, but it is, okay? But unfortunately, most people have been programmed to use their intellect in a way that actually keeps you stuck rather than moving forward. So your God-given power of intellect, okay, the ability to analyze and to look at things and experience things where you can make an intellectual analyzation of what's going on. Now, what happens for most people is they analyze, to paralysis. That's saying analysis to paralysis, right? You analyze, analyze, analyze. And really what's happening in analysis to paralysis is that your subconscious programming that I talk a lot about is actually keeping you stuck where you are. Rather than actually using your intellect in the way that it was meant to be used, you're allowing your subconscious mind to use your intellect to keep you stuck where you are. And how you know that is you're not making any change. You're not moving forward. You've seen yourself circle back around to the same thing. You've expressed that there's this thing you really want to do, but yet you see yourself getting caught up in not doing it and not acting on it. Or you make a little action, then you stop because you're afraid, or you feel like you're a failure because it's not working as quickly as you want it to be. And that's where your power of intellect is being misused. You're looking at only the evidence that you see in your life as proof that you're not capable, that it's not possible, that you can't actually act on it. Okay. So on the power of your intellect, how it keeps you stuck is when you let your subconscious mind rule what you look at. And what most people do is they look at the physical evidence that they have in their life presently and say that this is all I can be. This is, it's not possible what I want because you can't see any physical sign at this point. You've been programmed with the saying, I'll believe it when I see it, which is the farthest thing from the spiritual truth. And so you're using your power of your intellect to justify staying in jobs you don't like, doing something that makes you feel safe and comfortable and secure, rather than going with what's true in your heart. See, your God-given superpower of the power of your intellect was given to you so that you can actually act on what's true in your heart, your true heart's desire, that holy calling you came here to do, to like, maybe it's something you want to be and something you want to have. You know, a holy calling, your purpose is not just about being of service to the world, but also being of service to you, which is your true heart's desire. You really want to be of service to like why you came on the planet, what's speaking through you, you know, what's trying to speak through you, come through you, those little inklings, those little desires that you squish because of the belief of it's not practical, it's not logical, it's not responsible, or you can't afford it. And that stops you from acting on it. That's the misuse of your power of your intellect to justify why you're staying where you are, even though you know it's not your truth. You know you're not happy doing it. You know that, in fact, you maybe even dislike it, you know, that you justify that, oh, this makes me a responsible person. This makes me a good daughter, a good spouse, a good, you know, by doing this. And that's the misuse, the most misunderstood use of your power of your intellect. Okay. God gave you this power of your intellect to help you move forward on your truth, on your true heart's desire. Now, if you don't know what it is, the first part is you have to start practicing to get in touch with that, to start listening to yourself, to use your intellect to go, wait, let me pay attention. You know, I have the ability to make a choice. I have the ability to like pause for a moment, to feel like, oh, wait a minute. You know, because I would often get these inklings and they'd pass on by because I was so busy in my day that I couldn't grab hold of it. So when you actually use your intellect to say, you know what, I'm going to start pausing in my day to like take a moment to check in with myself, to pay attention to those little inklings, those little intuitive hits that you get that are your true heart's desire trying to speak to you. It's your spirit guides, spirit speaking through you to say, you know, in your desires, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to act on this. It's supposed to, and this, whatever that this is, that purpose, that idea, even if your mind is telling you it's silly or stupid or a waste of time, you're supposed to do it. I had this happen for years. I thought creating and making things was not a, a viable way to make a living. It wasn't a responsible way to make a living because I was brought up to think you're going to grow up and you're going to go to college. Now, I'm not against college, okay? It helps you step into things. You meet other kinds of people. It teaches you stuff you need to learn in the world. But my mother wanted me to be a white collar worker, not a blue collar worker. And so because of that, I didn't even have as an option in my mind that I could actually do something like painting and art and create things as something that I, you know, would want to do in the world. And so now part of my business is that, you know, that I create sacred portals. I create them in people's spirit guide portals. I create visions, portals of the visions I get, you know, and so I do that. And then I sell G clays. I do other things too, because I'm also here on the planet to be like a contributor, a teacher, a helper, you know, in that I want to help empower you and others to step into your power, your superpowers, your connection with your higher power. Because I know from my own experience of all the years I've been doing my spiritual practices, that that's what makes the difference. That whenever I follow divine guidance, life goes into flow. Whenever I follow what's true in my heart, I see things clicking and I feel more joy. I feel more connected to spirit. I feel impossibility, you know, the creativity, the following my heart's desire, all of that makes a difference. And so you really, on the power of your intellect, it's meant for you to use it to help you step into your true heart's desire. And that's where you're empowering yourself. It's self-empowerment about, let me use my intellect to help me move forward on what's true for me, not what I think I have to or should do. Okay. So how do you start doing that? The first part is, like I said, you use your intellect to tell yourself to pause. Pause throughout your day and check in with yourself to see like what's really going on with you. Did I have a flash of anything that went by so quick because I'm so busy that I didn't realize it? because you want to start to get in touch with what's your true heart's desire. It's one of the things I do with my clients who work with me individually is I really want you to get in touch with what's your true heart's desire, because I know you have a holy calling in that true heart's desire. One of mine is to create art, to create creativity, blessings of divine presence. Like all the art that I create is in some form the divine presence, because I really know that that's a blessing in the world. It took me a long time to get there because my programming told me, oh, that's a waste of time. It's not making a difference. But art really makes a difference. It inspires others. It blesses others with a multitude of feelings. If it's of a spiritual being, it blesses them with their energy. On Yogananda, when I was my first attempt to create paint a spiritual being, and I had the intention, I wanted it to bless people and for people to feel blessed by him and his power and his energy. And, I didn't know if I could do it. And I just went forth with that intention. And then Divine Mother blessed me with someone who I didn't even know in the art studio coming up and telling me, she said, "Are you the one who painted Yogananda?" I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she said, "Well, I just have to tell you, when I see this painting of him, I feel his power. I feel like I'm being blessed by him." And that was when I knew, okay, this inkling I have, which I thought was some silly idea, no, I'm meant to do. And I went back and forth, but I had to just keep hanging on to that. Like, no, this is true. Following that true heart's desire. So the power of your intellect is meant to be used to help you fulfill your next step in what is your heart's desire? What's your true heart's desire? That's why I say it's self-empowerment, because you're meant to use these God-given superpowers of power of your word, power of your choice, and most importantly, the power of your intellect, because the power of your intellect lets you use the power of your words and your choice, power of your choice, to move you forward on creating a life that you love, that's fulfilled with why you came on the planet, your true heart's desire. And your true heart's desire is the only reason why you came into a body, is for you to actually start to fulfill that. Yes, if you're a parent, that's part of your desire because you had a desire to have a kid, and then it's to raise the child. Okay. But you also have another true heart's desire of, maybe it's create art, maybe it's help, less fortunate people. Maybe it's just create the most famous widget, that you might not think is important, but can transform people's lives. Like the washing machine. Years ago, women spent hours washing clothes by hand, and what? They developed the washing machine and freed up women. So your invention might seem little, but yet it might transform, somebody's life, just like the washing machine and the dryer. Okay. So in this self-empowerment, what I want you to start doing, because the power of your intellect, the way you start to use it is you want to use it in a way that is based on spiritual truth. We've been using, or you've been using, if you're not happy in your life, that means you've been doing this. You've been basing and using your intellect to keep you where you are stuck now. Okay. So the power of your intellect is meant to help move you forward into what's true for you, rather than justify why you're staying in a job you hate or don't like, or just for the money, or you're doing certain things that make you really unhappy, but yet you do them because you think you should do them because that's what defines you as a good daughter. These things are subtle, and they're all fears that disguise themselves as, I'm being responsible, I'm being logical, I'm being practical, but yet they're stopping you from connecting with what's true in your heart and what you really came here on the planet to do. Okay, so you're supposed to be using your power of intellect to have deeper understanding of the spiritual truths and how to apply them better in your life so you can move forward on your true heart's desire. Okay, so one of the things is you have to start learning about the spiritual laws that are operating in your life 24/7. It's one of the things I do with my clients is I work with them who work with me individually, or if they're in our spiritual community, we're constantly talking about these things because we know this empowers you by you starting to understand the spiritual laws. Now, then the second step becomes, how do you actually apply your intellect to apply those laws in your life. Now, it's easy to say and talk about it. It's more challenging to do, especially it's challenging to do when you try to do it on your own. And why is that? Because we all have a blind spot. You have a blind spot, which is yourself. That's why I tell everybody you need to get support. Might not be me, might be someone else you know. You want to get someone who understands these spiritual laws, somebody who can support you in your vision, your dream of getting connected with what's in your heart, because you can't manifest your true heart's desire until you start getting, in touch with what your heart's desire is. Okay. And that first step is to pause and pay attention. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but you can at least start with that. From listening to this podcast, start to I'm going to pause in my day and check in with myself of what's my truth? What am I getting any intuitive flashes or inklings? And if so, what is it? Now you might see yourself get it and forget it and come back and get it again. And you realize, oh, I've gotten it 100 times or 10 times or 2 times. That's why it's important to get help, because that person who supports you in moving forward on your true heart's desire is going to help remind you of that, not let you forget it. Okay. But you can, in the meantime, start to pause if you're not ready to get that support. Pause and check in. You can use your power of your intellect to start to study. Study is really important on the spiritual path. In self-empowerment, it's extremely important, because when you're on the spiritual path as a spiritual seeker, you don't learn after you've been on it for a while. There's not a lot of new stuff. There's about, how do I get deeper understanding of the truth so I can apply it more deeply in my life, so I can transform my life. That's the whole reason why you have your intellect, so you can study the spiritual truth more deeply and so how can I apply it more effectively. Now, a coach can help speed it up. One who obviously knows what they're doing can help you speed up the process. Okay. So, but I want you to start thinking about that and working with the laws. Now, one of the books I recommend my clients to read is called Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell. It's an old book. I'm going to have a link to it, because it's a good beginning to just kind of get oh, wait a minute, there's these laws. And you'll start to see when you read the book that you have beliefs that go against these laws, because that's what your parents grew up knowing, and they programmed you with, oh, this is the way the world works. But it's not the way the world works. Now, there's many laws. In fact, the main laws I talk about to most of my clients are not necessarily written in that book, but I just want you to start to get a feel that there's different laws operating in your life, spiritual truths that you cannot see with your naked eyes. And that's why people don't know about them and don't believe that they work, because they are been programmed to believe with what they see with their eyes and not believe with what you can't see. But let's be real, on the spiritual path, how much of it do you actually see with your naked eye? Not a lot, right? And so you have to start to understand the laws that are operating. And that's where you want to use that intellect to start to use that. So go out and get that book, Working with the Law. If you're ready and you really are ready to I really want to step into, my true heart's desire, my holy calling, feel free to take advantage of my, complimentary gift of a next step connection call to see, are we a fit? Are you ready to do this, to move forward on your true heart's desire? I encourage you to start, acting on it, because time just passes by. Before you know it, 5 years have gone by, and then 10 years. And you look back and you go, wow, I'm still in the same place. So these God-given superpowers, the power of your words, power of your choice, and especially the power of your intellect, are at your fingertips. And God, Spirit, whatever you call your higher power, is wanting you to learn how to use them so that you can manifest a life you love, one filled with purpose and meaning and connection to your heart's desire. All right? Remember, greatness is within you. It's time to let it out. And acting on these 3 God-given superpowers are going to start to help you let it out. Okay? Have a miraculous day. Blessings.